I have been a little bit nervous to do this book review. I have refilmed this 4 different times because I had tried writing a script, but I just can't. So we are going to be talking today about Matthew King's debut novel, Don't Get Blood in My House. And before we get into it, I just want to do a full disclaimer that I did get a free ebook, and two, even though this wasn't a book that I particularly enjoyed, this is absolutely a book I'm going to be investing my own money into to getting copies for my friend, but physical copies, because my mates, the mates that I know are going to love reading this book, they're very slow readers, they don't like reading, but if you like Has Been Hotel, then this is probably a book for you. And before I go into details about this book as well, another thing I do just want to mention is pulp fiction. Pulp fiction, the genre, is something that is a very niche topic to talk about, and unless you know, then you don't know. So pulp fiction, the genre, the term comes from inexpensive paper pulp magazines, which appeared in the US between the 19th century to the 20th century. Now, we also had these sorts of magazines over here in the UK where I'm from. Whilst there used to be a massive collection of these books in charity shops, most of them, unfortunately, and most charities, when they get these sorts of books in, will get rid of them. So if you are looking for pulp fiction physical copy books, then your best bet is to go to a shop like Oxfam, or which sells second-hand books as a charity, and you will be able to find these sorts of books in there. But unfortunately, Britain has a bit more of a different uptake to how they handle the pulp fiction genre, and it's most so to do with inventory. Now, if you have been a fan of pulp fiction, then you will also know that the stories cover various genres, including detective, western, romance, and science fiction, and are usually better known for being lurid, sensational, and having quite violent content, which this book does have. It has all of that. And it's not particularly my niche, but I want to make sure that when I do this video, that in this video, when I discuss this book and my thoughts on it, that we also help get this book out to people who will enjoy it. Now, I messaged the author, letting him know 3 channels that I think would be able to better represent his book and may potentially also do a video reviewing their book. I personally do not feel like I am qualified enough to really be giving this review. I wanted to make sure that I knew the audience a little bit better before I put it out there, but through my experience, those people are very good at finding me. And if I put the Pulp Fiction tag, then this will get this video out to the right people, who will probably also in the comments correct me where I'm wrong, just because it's a massive fan base out there of people who love Pulp Fiction, who love collecting books, who love that side of literature. And again, if I did not fully believe in this book itself, I would not be later going on and buying this book for 3 of my mates. My boyfriend's debating buying it. If he decides that he's not going to buy it, then I will just buy him a copy myself, because I also think it falls into a niche that he would also personally enjoy. Now, Don't Get Blood in My House by Matthew King is his debut novel. It was published the 14th of August 2025, and it has 2 reviews on Amazon, and you can buy it from Amazon either as an ebook or a physical copy. And like I said, I'll be buying the paperback specifically for my 3 friends, because I know these friends well enough to know that they will prefer having a physical copy themselves. And also, for a debut artist to also have not only done the book, to have wrote it, but also do his own art, like the art style is something that has drawn me to the book. I very nearly, if he had not have reached out, I probably would have skimmed this book over and not even given it a chance. And it's weird to me now to think about how this is now a book that I know I will be able to recommend to people, and also be able to buy copies for my friends, because any book that is worth having, every book that is worth buying, any book that you are willing to spend money on is worth investing in if it is a niche, if it has a reason, and if you know it's a book that someone's going to enjoy. Now, I know my mates well enough to know that they're not also going to put money into a book, so if I buy them a copy and they read it, it might take them 6 months to get through the book, but it will ultimately be one of them that they will enjoy. Don't Get Blood in My House, overall, it's quite a lot of the language used is very similar to that of what I would consider pub talk, it depends on your knowledge of like society norms, but for me I would phrase it as a book that sounds like it was wrote by someone who I wouldn't say he's an alcoholic. I just realised that I make it sound like he's an alcoholic. He most definitely is not, and he's definitely got a creative flair. And again, it is about finding, it's such a niche, and it's a niche that I will wholly admit to knowing nothing about. I think if you are into your pulp fiction, you are better following Criminale, and specifically, just give me a sec while I get the name up. Geeks Loves Dogs, and I will also be putting in the description those two YouTubers, and I'll also put a link to the author's YouTube so you can have a look at the videos he's got up about his book. And quite frankly, what I am going to also throw in there is me and Geeks Loves Dogs have butted head a few times because we have very differing opinions on books, but I'm unsure, I will say, I'm unsure whether this is a book that he would personally read. I'm unsure if he reads like queer books, but I do know he is quite better known for his, same with Criminale as well. Those two are booktubers who are known for reviewing pulp fiction, reading pulp fiction, and sharing their love for it. They love discovering new books, they love going to the charity shops, they also love discovering and promoting new authors as well, I believe. You don't necessarily see those videos as often because it is so rare that we see, I personally believe, emerging authors who cater into that niche. It is a very difficult niche to write for, and unless you know, then you don't necessarily know. And but I absolutely loved this isn't going to be spoiler free, but there is definitely Custard and Dusty. I loved their characters. I loved the cop as well. The language used was one that for me it's very difficult to write a review of because I have some unresolved trauma. But I did love the characters. I will say that I loved Dusty and Custard. This poor taxi driver man. He just ends up in this house and he has no idea what's going on, and he's just there like, get me out of here. There's elements of magic. The magic system isn't necessarily explored or explained, but it just, you can get a feel as you're reading the book for this world and how it works, and it just is because it is. It's a no-nonsense, straight to the point. You either get it or you don't, and I'll be honest, half the time I got it and half the time I didn't. And what I really like about books like that is you don't know what you're going to expect next. You don't know what's going to happen on the next page. You don't actually, you kind of get it, you can get a feel for the book, but hi, my pig is yelling at me. But you also, I'm gonna read, it's really difficult for me to put into words because I want to make sure this gets to the right audience, but I am just going to read for you because I know there's quite a few popular booktubers who do this as well, but I will read you what I've put on Goodreads because I'm not expecting people to go to my Goodreads. My Goodreads is mostly for my mates that I know personally to follow, so that because they don't necessarily watch my booktube. But if you like vintage stories, old stereotypes, dodgy humour sprinkled in with magic, murder, and old-timey vibes, then this is definitely the book for you. It's quirky, it will full of innuendos that I made no sense to me. I'm just going to put out there I am asexual, so a lot of, like, I can understand when there is an innuendo, but a lot of stuff like that goes over my head, partly because my brain's not tuned into, like, that kind of humour at all. I have tried for over 20 years to try and understand it, and it's just one of those things that goes straight over my head. So if you are someone who likes, you know, innuendos, and you like pub talks, the way men talk to each other, like in pubs when they're having a pint. Like, I myself have gone to the pub, and I haven't gone for a while, but it's quite a homely vibe, especially when you're with mates. That is the way I would describe the very essence of this book, the very core, the language that he's used to describe this book. I did end up, now in my initial review, I put that I felt it was unfair to give them a star rating, but for some reason Goodreads was like, you have to give a rating on this book. usually you have the option whether you want to rate it or not, but because I wrote a review, it was like, you still, unfortunately, I don't know if it's a glitch, so I was like, I gave it 3 stars. I personally think it is unfair to rate a book by an indie author when I cannot differentiate between my own trauma and so a lot of the language, which unfortunately for me is why I don't usually read a lot of pulp fiction, and it is something that I will hopefully over time get more into, because I do think this is a good way to address my own traumas, but getting more familiar with the language and not seeing it's a threat anymore. But it is not my type of book, and those 3 mates who will be getting a physical copy of this book for them to read, the fact that I'm willing to put money in this book because I know there is value there, the world, the way it's built. If you like Has Been Hotel and Genshin Impact, more so Has Been Hotel, this is what I love about it. If you are a fan of Has Been Hotel, then this is straight up your alley for your sort of book to read. Be that an ebook, be it you get the physical copy. I highly recommend getting the physical copies just because it helps out. I believe it helps out indie authors more. I prefer buying physical where I can, but you can also get an ebook, which is cheaper. You aren't going to find this book anywhere other than Amazon, I believe. It is that niche, because I believe it's published through Amazon. You aren't going to find this in Waterstones. You're not going to find it in your local bookshop unless someone's bought it and done it, and like, it's just not. Although one thing I will say to the author is, if you can, it may be worth going to your local bookshops, I don't know if there are any near you, and just asking them to buy them in for their local, buy some of the books in for their local authors section. You could also suggest it to your library for the local authors section as well. Those are 2 places you could get your book seen, and you probably already know this and probably have some things already out there, but I was surprised that when I've read quite a few indie authors, a lot of people didn't know they could do that. It doesn't. I'm not promising that they will say yes. It's just an option and a potential opportunity. And again, this is a debut novel. It's impressive that he has created, and he officially has a book. That's your foot in the door. I hope you continue to write, Matthew, because it is a brilliant book, and I absolutely would love to read anything else you post and release, quite simply because while it was not particularly my book, I have friends who absolutely would eat this up. I have friends that would absolutely love this book, 3 of which I know that unless I buy the book, they aren't going to touch it, and it would take them, again, like I said, like 6 months, but I'm willing to invest in my own copies of this book because this is a book that I know has a market. I've got friends who love that niche. I know people online who read into that niche. It's just a case of probably like how you reached out to me and was like, how Matthew reached out to me and was like, I'd love a book review on YouTube. I look forward to the video. It's the same thing with my book mates. They aren't going to read it unless I give them a physical copy, and they tell me no, but if I just buy it and then be like, here's something you are going to love, I know for a fact they're going to love it. Because I've done it with a few books before and they've loved all of them so far, so it's just a shame that none of them have I have Goodreads, but I will be rating 5 stars on their behalf on Amazon when I've ordered these books, because again, it's a book that they will enjoy. If you like pulp fiction, if you like corny horror, if you like queer representation in media, if you've ever wanted to read a modern book which is reminiscent of pulp fiction, then this is the book for you. Ebook, paperback, like I said, and on Goodreads there are some of my followers who will also keep an eye out for the odd time I do get a book like this. I just hope we can get this out to the right audience. So if you know anyone who is like looking for this sort of book, share this video, and if you don't share this video, very least recommend this book to them, because it is very rare that I see or hear new authors releasing books like this. It is incredibly rare. I try and keep myself as diverse as possible because I believe every book could have the potential to be huge. I think this book would be better as like, so with Has Been Hotel, I wouldn't read a book that was Has Been Hotel, but I did love the series. But again, I would absolutely love to see this book blow up and then maybe one day become a series, which I feel like I would enjoy that format more so than I did with the book. And like, if this book was to blow up, I can definitely see it being like a series or a show that I would absolutely love. Quite some, but again, it's getting your foot in the door. So if you are looking at getting this book, then I highly recommend just reading it and buying it. Like, the ebook's cheaper, obviously, at paperback if you can, and just please, 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 if you watch this video to the end, consider leaving a review up on Goodreads or like on Amazon and just helping this author get out there, because this is definitely a book that has a niche. I just don't necessarily know how to find that niche. Without further ado, I'll see you in the next one, and special thank you, Matthew, for the free book. I very enjoyed this. I hope I was able to do some justice. I had done some research, like I said in my email to you, about the audience around this book, and then when I've messaged my mates about, because my mates are part of that audience, they were like, you just don't see videos on it, so the best thing you could do is post a review, and we'll leave comments. So hopefully I can get my mates watching this video and just leaving a comment and being like, yeah, we loved it and thank you for the copy of the book. I do really appreciate, you know, that you sharing a part of your world, a part of something you've created with me. I know a lot of time, a lot of years goes into creating a book, and the fact you've also done your front cover yourself, Matthew. Don't stop writing, don't stop creating, and I look forward to like seeing more from you. What I will say is, as well, this is more for your sake at the end of this video as well, is that I recently read a Stephen King book called Misery. I hated it. I hated it for a lot of reasons. Your book was better than one of Stephen King's books that I've recently read. My boyfriend's trying to find me books that I will enjoy by Stephen King, because he's obviously a mega author, but I couldn't see any spelling errors. I was struggling to wrap my head around the language at times, because it's just the old-timey, like, it's not... I say old-timey because I don't know what else to refer to it as, but it was not a language that I'm used to, but I did enjoy what I did read. I just ended up not finishing it because I couldn't get into it. It did get to a point where it was triggering me, and I was like, I know who the audience is for this book, and I just hope I can get this out there to that audience.